Today we're making a Dracula Nutcracker that'll be the perfect addition to your Halloween decorations. This Dracula Nutcracker is almost 6.5 feet tall and rated for outdoor or indoor use. So join me for this super fun and easy Halloween tutorial. To begin making our vampire nutcracker, we need 2x4 wood. Now, we need to cut 4 pieces. 2 of those pieces will be cut to 21 inches. 2 more pieces will be cut to 24 inches. We also need a piece of plywood. You can use 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch. I always prefer using the thicker one. And you need to cut that 24 inches by 24 inches. They also sell pre-cut squares of 24 by 24 inches at Lowe's and Home Depot, so if you want to get that instead of cutting it, you can do it. So once we get our pieces cut, we're going to assemble it like a box and we're going to screw it together at the ends over here. For the arms and the legs of our vampire nutcracker, we're going to be using 4-inch diameter sewer drain pipe. Now make sure that it's sewer drain pipe and not regular PVC because this one is thinner and that's what we want. We need to cut 4 pieces, each piece at 24 inches. We're going to use 2 of those for the arms and then 2 of those for the legs. Also, there's an alternative way that you can do the arms. You can have one arm like this, perhaps holding a staff or holding something in its hand, or just regularly going down like this. Most of my nutcrackers are with the arms down, but I think this one we're gonna put it like this so he can be holding something. So instead of doing all of them at 24 inches, you're gonna be doing 3 pieces at 24 inches and 1 piece at 12 inches and another piece at 12 inches so you can get that elbow effect. For the body, we're using the Sono Tube. Now, this concrete form tube comes in many different sizes, but for this project, we're using the one that is 12 inches in diameter and 4 feet long. This is going to go on top of a pine circle board that we can either get pre-cut like this, or we can cut it ourselves from the plywood that we bought for the base. Now, it's important to remember that if you're going to buy yours pre-cut, you need to make sure that you test it out on your Sono Tube because it's not supposed to go through. See, not all Sono Tubes are the same. So this one's about 12 inches and 1/4. This is 12 inches exactly. So it's gonna go through and we want it to be able to stop this because this is going to rest on top of this one. So make sure if you go this route, you test it out to find one that doesn't go all the way through, or you can just cut it yourself from your own piece of plywood. So let's get to cutting all of our pieces and get ready for painting. When it comes to painting the PVC or the Sono Tube or the wood, I'm always using exterior grade latex paint. Now, we're going to be using different types of paints and you can paint your vampire nutcracker whichever way you want. But for this project, I'm going to list all the colors I use. I normally use Valspar paint from Lowe's, so that's what we're going to be using today. For the Sono Tube though, it's important that we weatherproof and waterproof this before we start painting it. This is compressed cardboard, so it's not going to do good in the rain if you leave it exposed like this. So first things first, we're going to paint it with a weatherproofer. I love using Drylok. You can use either white Drylok or gray Drylok. It doesn't matter because that's just going to be the base coat. Paint it once with Drylok, let it dry, then paint it again with Drylok, and then we can use a regular latex paint, and trust me, it will survive. I have nutcrackers that I've used 3 or 4 years outside, and they're still perfectly fine because we weatherproofed it. Now, I never paint the inside of it because I always put some sort of hat over it, but if you're not going to put something to cover this opening, definitely paint it with Drylok on the inside as well. So let's get to painting. Also, we don't need to use Drylok on the wood or on the PVC because those things aren't going to get soft or anything like that. So you can just paint those with regular exterior latex paint. And here are your measurements for your Nutcracker body. From the bottom up, measure 24 inches. Mark it off right there. That's going to be the torso. From those 24 inches, measure upwards 16 inches. That is going to be the forehead and the face. Anything above the 16 inches needs to be cut off with a jigsaw. So mark it really nicely and then cut off the remaining top with your jigsaw. This has already been painted with dry lock. We did 2 coats. And now after we cut everything, we're going to paint it with exterior latex paint. Remember, if this is not going outside, you don't need to use dry lock. But this is going outside, so we use dry lock and then we use exterior latex paint for all the coloring needs. All right, so let's assemble the base. Here's our piece of plywood, and these are the pieces of wood. So we're going to be using 2 pieces of 21 inches and 2 pieces of 24 inches so that it forms this perfect box like that. So once we have it like that, make sure you line it up. Then we're going to get our drill with a pre-drill tip. And we're going to screw right through, 2 holes there, and on the other side, 2 holes there. Then we're going to get our screws. You can use 2.5 or 3-inch screws. And then we're going to drill it right through over here. Bam, we're going to do that to all the sides using 2 screws each. Then we're going to flip this over and use 1-inch or 1.5-inch screws to screw the plywood to this board. Remember, this is upside down just so that we could put it together, and then we're going to flip it over. All right, now that it's all attached, let's start doing the legs. But first, we need to mark out where the PVC legs will go. Remember, the legs are 24 inches each. So we marked out the very center of this box, which is right here. And what we want to do is put these right there in the center and then separate them by 1 inch. You can see right there, they're separated by a simple inch right in the middle of this box. And what we want to do, so once we have them in the middle, just like that, get yourself your pencil, and then you're going to just trace the leg. Just like that. And once you trace the leg, now we know where the wood is going to go on the inside. And remember, we have 2 pieces of 2x4, and both of those pieces are 24 inches. So let's get those woods really quickly. All right, so we can see the outline right here. Now we get our 2x4 wood. These are the 24-inch pieces, and you want to put them right in the middle of the circle, just like that. This is going to be the support for the leg. So once you have it in the middle, make sure that they're aligned this way, and they look good that way. Perfect. So just outline them again. Perfect. And here is our outline. So the reason that we do this is that we're going to flip this over to attach these legs. So these legs need to go attached like this, but we need to screw it in from the bottom. So we're just going to turn the whole thing over, and we're going to use this box that we created as our guide so that when we turn it over, we can see exactly where it is so we know where to screw. But before we do all that, get your pre-drill, and we're going to do 2 holes right there, right in the middle. We did the holes, so now we can turn it over. And this is what you should be left with. Everything is upside down, but now we can easily go up there and do 2 screws on this one and 2 screws on that one, because now we know exactly where the legs go. So just get your screws and then do it from the top, and then we can flip this over. All right, we're done with the base and the legs for now, so let's move on to the midsection. We have our pre-cut round right over here, and we have the 2 pieces of 16-inch wood. What we want to do is put them on either side, just like this, okay? Directly across from each other. This is where the left arm is going to go. This is where the right arm is going to go. This is where the left arm is going to go. So what you want to do is make sure that this over here, from the middle of this board, is 1/2 inch from the edge, right from the middle. Same thing to the other side, 1/2 inch from the edge, because the Sono Tube is going to go over this, and we need to make sure there's enough clearance for it to go on top of this. So measure 1/2 inch from the middle of the board to the edge, and then what we're going to do is get our pencil, and we're going to do the same thing we did with the legs. We're going to just mark it out. All right, once you mark them out like this, you can see we marked them out here and here. We're going to do the same thing. Let's do our pre-drill holes. And look how we did them. So here's the outline, right in the middle, just like that. We're going to do the same thing we did with the legs. Then we're going to go like this, make sure we know where it's at, turn it over, do the same thing with this one, make sure it's in its little outline, and then we're going to 2 screws here, 2 screws here. And this is what you should be left with. This goes on top of the legs. And remember, there's wood inside here. So this is going to go screwed with 2 screws here and 2 screws here. You just got to adjust it to make sure it's all centered. Remember, this is going to be the right side. This is going to be the left side of the arm. And pre-drill 2 holes right here and 2 holes here. You just got to look down and make sure you're going into it. And bam. But, don't do that until after you paint the legs. It's so much easier to paint the PVC before we attach this. I've learned the hard way. So take these out, paint them first, whatever color you're going to do, and then put them on, and you're good to go. And then you attach this one. Bam. Once you're done with that, then we can put the Sono Tube on top. Next, we need to drill 2 holes on either side of the Sono Tube, and that's going to be for the arm support. Using a 1 1/8 spade drill bit, we're going to measure from the bottom, we're going to measure upwards to 22 inches. Remember, the torso area is 24 inches, so we're only going 2 inches below that at the 22-inch mark. Drill a hole right through there. Then at the opposite end, right on the opposite side, we're going to drill the next hole. Measure up 22 inches, drill a hole because a pipe is going to go through it. That is going to be the support for the arms. And let's continue with the next steps. All right, now we need to put a PVC pipe through this to hold up the arms. This is 3/4 inch size PVC and we've cut it to 20 inches. Remember, we already cut our arms, so all we need to do now is do a hole in here. Remember, we did one right here, so now it's a hole for this one, but don't go through and make a hole here, it's just on one side. This hole is gonna be the same size as this hole, so we used a 1 1/8 spade bit to make this hole, and then this is gonna go right in here. Let me show you. And then we get our arm, and we put it in there so it holds up just like this. See? And if you don't want this arm to come off after you've assembled it, we're just going to put a simple screw right in here, okay? Right in there, a screw, and a screw on the other side once we put the other PVC inside. And that way, it won't fall off or anything like that. This area is going to be covered with something. We haven't figured that out yet, but it always has some type of cover on here just to hide all of this. And that's it. Now we get to paint everything with the colors that we want before we assemble this to make it super easy. All right, so remember, for the arm, we're gonna hold it like this so it can hold something in its hand like a staff. You don't need to do this, but if you want to do it bent like this just needs to be 12 inches and 12 inches. The other one is 24, so this one would essentially be the half of it. Then we have an elbow piece right over here. We put it in, and then we have the arm like this. But if we leave it alone, it wants to go back like this. And the workaround is to get in through the bottom side with a drill and then screw through this into that. And since it's 12 inches, it's more than enough space to get a drill in through the bottom and just drill into this. But first things first, we need to paint everything with the colors that we want. So the arms, the body, all of it needs to be painted, and then once it's painted, then we can drill this into place so it's ready to go with the accessories and anything else we're going to put on it. All right, so we're nearing the end, and here are the ears that we did from insulation foam board. I painted them like this, super simple. We're gonna use some hot glue to hold the ears up, something like this. Also, I need to finish painting the bottom of the nose, so don't worry, but I want to talk about the head. We have a pizza tray. This pizza tray, I believe, is 13 inches in diameter. As always, I link everything I use in the description of the video. This pizza tray is essential if you're keeping this outside. You do not want water to get on the inside of the tube. So that is like a cap. Then we have this faux fabric right here, and we're gonna use it as his hair. He's gonna have a nice peak like this. So I'm gonna use some hot glue to glue it like this, and then just glue it like that. And then maybe if you want to give him a haircut and cut some off the back, we can do that. But just use some hot glue to hold it. So for the hands, we're going to be using these 5-inch styrofoam balls. But since the staff has to go through one of the hands, we need to make a hole right in the center. So we have a 1 1/8 drill bit. This is a Spade drill bit. And we're just going to go right in the middle as carefully as we can all the way through. That way we can put our staff, which we've already painted black. We're going to put it all the way through. And then in order for it to not to slip down its hand, we're going to put some hot glue around the pieces or the entrance of the PVC and the styrofoam. So let's do that, and then we can stick this to the actual PVC arm that we have with hot glue as well. And this is what our staff should look like. We painted our styrofoam ball red. This bat is from the store called Michael's. We used some hot glue to attach it to the PVC pipe. We made a hole in the styrofoam ball, and just look at this. It looks so good. So of course, remember, we made a hole on the hand. We are using a styrofoam ball for the hand as well. We made a hole, and then this PVC pipe is going to go through it. And just as a reminder, I used expanding foam. I put some on the inside of this PVC pipe to hold the styrofoam ball, but you could also use hot glue. I just like that putting a little bit of expanding foam on the inside and then holding it together with some tape allows it to form a very strong bond. So we get our PVC pipe staff, we put it through just like this, and then the arm can actually be positioned like this, and just like that, it's ready to go.